Hi folks, and welcome back to our coding adventure. Today we are going to apply some things that you've already learned with a little bit of guidance from me. It will be really important that you listen to things in this video, understand them, because in coding a couple of things are important. One is there's a lot more than one way to get something done, usually in coding. So there is the least amount that you can do. That's kind of your goal, is to try and get the fewest number of coding lines as possible, but there's more than one way usually to accomplish a task. The other thing is you can't think like a person. If I'm saying go to the store, you will go that direction, but a robot doesn't know what that means. You have to tell it a direction, you have to tell it how far, you have to tell it when to stop, you have to tell it what to look for, all of those things. So we have to think about that as we're going through here. So today is 3 challenges. I will go through each one and then you're going to do them. So we are going to use the line detector playground. The challenges are that the first one is you're going to find the second green line and print out that you have found that. Print just means it's going to show up in the monitor. The second one is that you're going to count the number of green lines, number of red lines, and number of blue lines in a column, and it can be in either column B, C, D, or E. And the third challenge is to count those and add black into it, which creates another issue. So let's talk about this, and let's talk about where we're going. Move that up here. Okay, so here we go. Your first task is to find the second green line and record that. Here's the problem with all of these. You have to be able to do it in either in column D or column E. So if you're going to find that, one of the problems that is going to happen is you think, oh, I'm smart, I'll just do this. We're gonna drive forward, and we're gonna go until we see until the down eye sees green, right? So we're going to drag that in. We're going to say, I'm going to go until the down eye detects green. All right. And then I'm going to go again. I'm just going to repeat that, right? Because I'm going to find the second one. So I'll duplicate that block. And then we'll stop driving, right? Good. All right, so let's do that. Here, let's go to, by the way, selecting which column you're on is this little button right here, and you select which one you're going to start on. And let's go. And wait, what's happening? Stopped on the first one. Well, here's what's happening. You thought like a human instead of like a robot, because here's what's going on. You're driving until the down eye detects green, and it does, okay? It detects green. Now, it's going to move to the next time until it detects green and then stop. Well, it's detecting the same green, okay? Because this is happening instantaneously, right? These lines of code move from one to the other as fast as the processor can move it in probably a millionth of a second. So it doesn't have time to get past that. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add some stuff, like maybe, and this is where things get weird. Now, I am not going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you some techniques and some ideas, and it's your job to make it happen. One of the things that you can do is you can have it drive forward again until the down eye, and this is going to be a little weird. One of your operators is a not. The not word means it is not true that. That is the way to read this, okay? So you can say, let's move forward until, now we could put in, it is not true that the down eye detects green, right? And then move forward again. The problem is what if you have 2 greens in a row? So we want to code this so that it works with anything. So you can make it so that it goes forward until you could do this. You could go forward, whoops, until the down eye detects none, and then move forward again, because it'll move until it detects none, and then it'll go until it detects green. So that's a possibility too. So all of these things are ways that you can get this stuff done. The not, you're probably going to have to use in one of these challenges. So we've got different ways of getting that done. Now, when you are done with this challenge, in each one of them, you're going to print something. So we're going to put in print, okay? And I want you to say, in this case, we're going to say print your name, found the second green line, which will look like this. Now, I'm purposely making a mistake here, and I'm going to do what I had at the beginning, and we're going to print that. So even though it is not going to find that second green line, now where this is going to show up is in the monitor. We played with the monitor last time, and it's going to show in this area here when we played this. Okay, now it did what you said it's going to do. It said found the second green line, even though it didn't, because it printed this after it went through this program. So you're going to have to do that. All right, so I'm going to ask you to pause this video right here and do your program that finds that second green line. And when you're done, and you put that pick in the assignment, then come back and watch the next part. Okay, let's talk about challenge number 2. Challenge number 2 is going to be that you're going to count the number of lines, how many blue lines, how many green lines, and how many red lines as your robot moves forward. Now, pitfalls, things that happen. One is you're going to have to print. So I'm going to have 4 lines here. Okay, so we're going to say we're going to have 4 lines of total print thing. One of them includes move the cursor to the next row. So let's start with this. You can go ahead and copy me on this part with your name, not Joe Cougar, please. Found. I'm going to talk about this middle one, and let's just start with green lines. Okay, now we're going to replace this because you're going to have to use variables. I don't know any other way of doing that. So you're going to have to set yourself up with a variable, make a variable. I'm going to have one called green. You could probably call it green. You can't do spaces, so it's green line. I'll call it green line, okay? So we've created a variable called green line. We're going to change the number of green line every time you come across one, and then at the end you will put this found, and then you're going to put in green line. Okay. So now what this is going to do is it's going to print Go found green line. Now watch. Let's just run this. It'll show, I hope, 0. So we're going to clear that and run this program. And it should, yeah. So it put 0 in there. Now we could put a space, I think. Let's try that. After found and before green. Let's see if that fixes that that little problem. Whoops, where's my playground? There we go. And let's go to D. It doesn't matter, but because we're not detecting anything right now. There we go. All right, so we're going to print at the end that you found how many green lines, how many blue lines, how many red lines. All right, now I've seen this before. You do something in a forever loop, and then you do that. Well, what's the problem with that? The problem is, if you're in a forever loop, it's always going to stick in this forever loop. It is never going to get to this. So if you're in a loop, that loop, you have to be able to get out of the loop sometime. What would be better in this particular program or this particular playground, I think, is to repeat until. Let's see how well this works. We're going to repeat until our Y position going upwards. Okay, we'll have to put in an operator, and we're going to put is greater than, and we'll put 900. And see how that works. Okay, so we're going to go until our, whoops, let's do that, try that again. Until our position Y, last time I messed up and said X when I really meant Y. We're going to repeat until that goes, so let's try this. I'm just going to drive forward, and then we will print. Now, this will get to this after it goes until we get to the end. So now I'm just going to play from here because it doesn't matter. I forgot to make my robot go 100%. We'll do that next. Now it got to Y I forgot to stop driving. That's another thing that we need to do. Don't forget. See, I was thinking like a human and I didn't have him stop driving. So let's try that again. I'm also going to make sure, always put in your velocities. That should just be a normal thing. Drive velocity and turn velocity to 100, so we're not waiting for things. All right, and now that should go and stop. And because I didn't clear my monitor, it printed it 3 times. Don't forget, you can clear that. Okay, and it does stop up when it gets to, in this case, 923. Okay, so we're going to do for each one of these this repeat until my position Y is in millimeters. Now, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to change. If you're going to have to say, okay, if I'm on either D or E, I'm gonna drive forward. Now, how are you going to count this? When it gets to it, you can say go until it is not true that the down IC is none. Then you can have it sense. Then you can say, okay, if the down IC sense is green, then your green line equals, or you say, you then change green line by 1. What that means is you're adding 1 to it. Okay, that's a possibility. So, and then you're going to do the same thing for the others. So you'll have a bunch of if statements. So it's going to stop if green line is, if down I sense is green, change it by 1. If down I sense is blue, change blue line by 1. I hope you're following what I'm saying. Then don't forget, you're going to have to find a way of driving forward to the next one and not sensing the same one. Right? So you might need to drive forward until that it is not true, or that it's true that the down I sense is none, right? And drive forward until it's not true that it senses none, then check. I know this is a lot of not and does it do it, and which is a little much for a 14-year-old brain, but I think you can handle it. But you have to think about what it's doing. Now, your job is to make that happen and have it print at the end. So this challenge is going to get you 100%. If you get through the last challenge and this challenge, then there will be some extra credit. Now, the struggle is part of what is important here. You have to kind of troubleshoot, and if it doesn't work, you have to think about what's wrong. Okay, so, and then you're going to do the same thing for the others. So you'll have a bunch of if statements. If that's why I'm not showing you exactly how to do it. You're using the skills that we've already developed with making this happen. So I think I've told you all I need to tell you. It's your job to make it happen. Make it happen. Pause this video and then we'll talk about the last one. Hopefully that worked out for you. If it didn't, you can just put in the code that you were doing and tell me what you think is wrong with it. Now the next one, you have to be able to do any of them, and you're going to add black to the mix. So this becomes a little more difficult because you before were saying, well, go forward until the down eye senses none, right? Which means you're on to something. Then you said, okay, if it's blue, we're going to change blue by 1. If it's green, we're going to change green by 1. If it's red, we're going to change red by 1. But what are you going to do for black? Well, first of all, you probably have to create a variable that's called black line. And then what I would do is I would say, if this is true, do that. If this is true, do that. If this is true, do that. Or else do this other thing. Which just means that it has to be black if it's not true that any of those other things. So you could say you've got these ands in here, right? You could say if it's not true that the down eye senses green, and it's not true that the down eye senses red, and it's not true that the down eye senses whatever the last one is. I don't remember what I just said. Then you're going to change black by 1. So there's different ways of thinking about doing this. Your job is to figure this out. So this final challenge is extra credit because it gets to be a little bit tricky in thinking about how you do that. All right, folks, hopefully this was a fun challenge, little bit frustrating. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of frustration because that's how you learn, and that it all worked out. All right, so next time we will talk about more challenges, and we will see you then.